Today I'm here to review The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 12, titled Still. So let's get started. This episode was not good to me because I expected this episode to have even pace. Now let me explain by what I mean when I say even pace. I expected character progression. I did expect this. This episode was nothing but filler. I expected character progression and I expected story progression at the same time. I expected Beth and Daryl to find the terminus slash sanctuary sign just like Rick and Tyrese and his group found. So that way we can all get them together. But it's obvious what the writers is doing. They're going to use this Beth and Daryl storyline and pretty much use it as a plot device to add it to the next episode, because I know for a fact we ain't gonna see Rick, Michonne, and Carl in the next episode. We not gonna see that. And who in the world wants me personally? I don't want to see no Bob Stokey. I mean, he's alright, but I don't want to see a episode about Bob Stokey, Maggie, and Sasha alone. I don't want to see that. So I see what the writers are doing. They started here in a stretch. They stretched this out. So they're gonna add that Daryl. They're gonna add that Daryl and Beth storyline to that episode to try to make the next episode interesting. In me personally, I don't know. Because this episode right here wasn't good. This episode right here was straight filler. And like I say, I am a man for character development. I'm a man for that. But at least give us a decent pacing in this episode too. This episode was, like I said, was boring. So let's get started. Also, this episode has some symbolic stuff that happened in it in terms of embracing your past and letting your past go and moving forward with your future, and don't let your past hold you back. And also it plays some major character development for Daryl in terms of him moving out of Merle's shadow and letting Merle go now and being his own man and finding his own path. And it also deals with the greed that Daryl had to go through when the prison got attacked, and he finally expresses that after he get drunk off a bottle of moonshine. So let's get started with the review. Okay, it's pretty obvious that Daryl was in jail. We seen foreshadowing. We heard some things. We heard them. We heard some things that Daryl said that pretty much hinted that he was in jail. Because when him and Beth was talking in that old abandoned cabin house, Beth they played a game, and Beth asked him a question, and she brings up jail, and Beth says, "I never been to jail," and then she means as a prisoner. Not as a prisoner, because she was living in a prison. So therefore, she was in jail, but she wasn't in jail before the outbreak came. So therefore, anybody that was in the jail before the outbreak came was actual prisoners in that jail, and that's why she said, not as a prisoner." And you can tell that they got Daryl offended, because she was talking to him. Daryl asks her, "So, what you think of me?" As I recall, Daryl never even spoke about his past to Bill. He never told anybody about him being in jail in The Walking Dead unless it was off screen. Like I say, it was hints thrown about him being in jail, but I don't think he just never came out and said he was in jail. And then after he asked Beth this, Beth just assumes that somehow Daryl was a prison guard before the zombie apocalypse. He was working at a prison. He was a prison guard. Now, let me break down Daryl's characterization to you, and I'm going to tell you how I know Daryl was in jail. It's just facts. Okay, season 3, episode 1, title C. Remember after they clear out the prison, you can see Daryl, you see Rick going into a prison cell, and you got zombies in there. You can see them. Well, you don't see them kill them zombies. The only thing you see is Rick. I think you see Daryl throw the zombie off the top floor. You don't see the kill, and you can see the rest of the group members coming there. And Lori asks Rick, Is this place safe? And Rick tells her, yes, we can lock ourselves in. We can lock ourselves. We can lock ourselves in our prison cells if it's not. And he says, I got a key, and Daryl got a key. And after he mentions Daryl's name, Daryl says this: I ain't sleeping in no cage. I take the perch. I think he mean porch, but he said perch. You know redneck type of stuff, grammar. So that right there was the first hint he was in jail, and he says, I ain't sleeping in no cage. Point two, when he was outside in it was still season 3, episode 4, titled Walk With Me. You can see him, T-Dog, Rick, Maggie, and they was talking about what they was going to do with Oscar and Axel, because Oscar and Axel wanted to come to cell block A with Rick and them, and they was talking about their fate. And T-Dog asked Daryl he wanted Daryl to get some input on the situation. And this right here is Daryl's exact words that came out of his mouth. He says, I get guys like this. Hell, I used to, he said, hell, I even grew up with them. He said, they're degenerates, but they ain't psychos. And then he says, I think he says, I could have been in there with them just as easy as I is out here with you guys. So when he says, I repeat, when he says, I get guys like this, hell, I grew up with them. They're degenerates, but they ain't psychos. That therefore telling you that when he said I get guys like this, that means he could relate to these guys, and he was in a situation. And like I said, he even threw any he even threw any he threw more hits after that. He says I could have been in there with them. So yeah, pretty much foreshadowing the guy was in jail. And also with this episode, what the fuck is Daryl doing stealing money? I'm sorry. What equal value do money have in a zombie apocalypse? What is money gonna buy you? I'm sorry. Now, he was not stealing some merchandise from out the golf court place, because they did have very valuable merchandise in there. Historical merchandise, and you seen him in there stealing it. But why in the fuck are you stealing money? I mean, food, water, sanctuary is more important than money now. You can't buy nothing with money. So why do the writers got this man in there stealing money? What? I'm not even touching on that. I'm done with that scene. Next, we have the opening scene, and also a plot hole out the ass with this episode. Excuse my language. This is right here is a major plot hole I noticed in this episode. Now we see a scene with Daryl and Beth hiding in the trunk of a car, and they got zombies like right next to the trunk of the car. I mean, they stayed in that trunk of the car until morning time came, till the sun came up. You mean to tell me you have Rick and Carl who find a random abandoned house in a neighborhood, and they go inside the house, and then a few minutes later you got zombies beating on the door. Now, them zombies didn't see Rick and Carl go in that house. Now, it's pretty much proven facts that zombies can smell fresh human beings. That's not dead. That's not like them. They can smell them. So it's obvious those zombies found Rick and Carl in that house was because they was sitting up in there. Now maybe it was because Rick had some open wounds from that battle with him and the governor, and the zombies could smell that, but that still don't make no damn sense, because I remember in season 1, you don't have to have open wounds for zombies to smell you, because remember in season 1 you see Rick and you see Glenn walking in a herd of zombies in the city of Atlanta, and you see a whole bunch of blood on it. They're using zombie blood to blend in with the zombies. As soon as it start raining, Glenn and Rick didn't have no cuts on them. As soon as it started raining, it had rained all that zombie blood off of them, and then the zombies were able to smell them. But back to what I was saying, though, the point I was trying to make. even still though, they didn't see Rick and Carl go in that house, but somehow they were still able to. They were still able. Two zombies were still able to go to that random house they was living in and start beating on the door. But yet you have zombies by a trunk of a car with Beth and Daryl in it, and the zombies don't even smell them. They don't even know they there. What the? Yeah. Moving on. Uh, and also with the opening scene, I talked about the car. We see Beth and Daryl in the woods, and we pretty much see them. We see them. You see Daryl kill a snake, and we see Beth. Like I said, also in this episode, I love what they did with Beth's characterization. They turned her. I see what they was doing. They had turned her into. They're turning her into an independent, strong character, or a strong woman, and they making Beth strong. And I love what they're doing with her writing, but like I said, I still didn't like this episode. We see Daryl and Beth in the woods camping, of course, and we see Daryl kill a rattlesnake, and he eats it. And we see Beth making a fire, and at this point, we see dialogue between Beth. We see dialogue between Beth and Daryl, and at this point, Daryl, he's showing signs that he really don't care anymore because he feel like he lost everything. And it's revealed in this episode that Daryl don't want to be alone. That's his biggest fear, but he's scared. He's too scared to admit it. And we see how Beth flips him off with her middle finger, pretty much telling him fuck him. And she goes out to the woods saying that she can't defend herself on her own. She don't need his help. And somehow she seems to spark up some zombies coming towards her trying to attack her. But they was able to get out those woods. And next they end up finding a golf course. A golf course. Like I say, in this golf course, it definitely had members there. You can see the bar area with the alcohol. You can see, like I say, they also had some historic merchandise in there that Daryl was stealing from out of there. We see them go to the golf course. And when we get in the golf course, we see a whole bunch of dead bodies. Now, at first, I was wrong. I was thinking that the people that was hanging up on the roof that was hung, I thought they committed suicide, but it's a lot of dead bodies in there. So a lot of people was living in there. That place was actually a sanctuary. Well, not a sanctuary. It was. They was living in that house. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if some bandits somehow came in there and killed everybody and took everything they had that was valuable. I don't know what happened. Maybe it could be those bandits that we seen Rick hiding from under the bed that had busted up into the house while Rick was in the bed sleeping. Maybe it could be those bandits that did this. But like I say, that's a big world. That's a big world they're living in. So anybody could have did that. And a lot of people are dead in there. And it can't be no suicide because ain't that many people in that place commit suicide. And you just can't make me believe that. And at this point, Beth is in pain. I mean, she just lost her father, but here's the problem: Beth don't know how to cope with that pain, so she's using alcohol as a decoy, mechanism, and she's trying to use that to cope with her pain. She's trying to use alcohol to do it, and she's looking for alcohol in this episode. But like I say, I noticed something in one of the rooms Beth went into. On one of the walls, it had a dog trout house. Now, dog trout house. That club that they was in could be a dog trout house, or somebody could just broke that on the wall because it had a lot of dead bodies on that floor. In the same room, it had that sign somebody wrote on that wall. And like I said, it said dog trout house. Now, dog trout house was made back. Oh, it's years ago, but those houses still exist. But these right here are very unique houses because it's not like a whole house. Although it got a roof on top. Just Google it. Just Google it and go to dog trout house. It's like it got a hallway in the middle of two houses. It's like the houses are kind of split but the roof and stuff is still connecting it, making it as a whole. But it's like it's kind of split. You have a bathroom, you got a living room in one part, and then on that next part, it got the same size of the next part. And you got a living room in there, a chimney. It's a dog trot house is very unique and it's still around. So yeah, I don't know why they wrote that on the wall. And next we see a dead girl that says a dead woman, and on her it said "rich bitch." So whoever did that, they was wrong, but they definitely came in there and murdered and murdered everybody. And like I said, you can tell money is not the case anymore because they didn't take the money. They took everything else beside the money. So somebody had to come in there and murder them. I just don't see how those many people committed suicide. No, somebody did that. And we see, like I said, we see Beth with the alcohol. And at this point, I would think Beth would know how to kill a zombie pretty decent and quick. But what the fuck was going on with her and the alcohol bottle when she busted in that zombie face and she had like a part of the piece of glass of the alcohol bottle left. I mean, she took forever to kill him. Now maybe it could have been because it was dark in the area. You know what? I'm gonna take up for it. That could have been it because it was dark in that area. That's what it was, and she couldn't stab him correctly. That's right. I'm defending Bill, but she did end up killing him. We can see in the next scene, we see them in the bar scavenging, and you can see how Beth picks up alcohol, some peach, marla, or something like that. I can't pronounce. I forgot the name of it. And Daryl pretty much throws it on the ground and say he's going to give us something stronger. But we can see Daryl pick well, it looks like we saw him bust a picture frame, and then that picture frame looked like it had important. It was an important scripture. And like I say, this place has old merchandise, so it had to be important for him to be stealing it. And it had to come back from probably back in the 90s or 80s for him to be stealing stuff like that. So yeah, third scene and final scene, we see Daryl, Beth, and they end up finding the old house that him and Michonne had been found. And now within that old house, like I say, is moonshine. And Daryl was telling the story in this episode that made me wonder too, because he said that of course his father was an alcoholic because they see a bra. And now they found a bra holder, but this bra holder is kind of different because it's plastic and you can see a whole bunch of cigarette butts in it. And he was telling Beth about the story, and he said how his father used to use that kind of as a basketball when a basketball player or some basketball somebody in general shoot basketball and they shoot it whatever the basketball goes. He was kind of using that as the same. He was throwing his cigarettes in there, trying to see could he hit in there. And he was saying about his father. And he said about how his father was smoking bad, and then his mother had a problem with that. Always complaining about it. But here's the problem with that. His mother was a smoker. Now maybe this could have been before they broke up, because I think she probably became a smoking alcoholic after they broke up. Because he was a smoking his father was a smoking alcoholic and his mama was one. So maybe she became one after they broke up. But he definitely mentioned that. And then at this point, like I say, Beth gets Daryl offended by asking him about his past. And like I say, you have to embrace your past and stuff to move forward and acknowledge your mistakes and what you did and make yourself a better person to by preventing those mistakes again and stuff like that. And she questioned his past, and Daryl gets real offended about it. And he pretty much, and then again, he was drunk too. And when you drunk, you seem to tell the truth. He ends up getting mad, bringing Beth outside, and he's forcing her outside, and he's putting a bow and arrow, telling her to shoot. I'm trying to make her shoot a zombie because she mentioned before that she never shot a zombie. So he's trying to make her shoot a zombie while he's drunk. He's drunk, and you can tell Daryl can't control his liquor. So he's not trying to make her shoot a zombie. And then at this point, she killed the zombie because Daryl was trying to, like I said, he was drunk. She killed the zombie on her own instead of using the crossbow. And Daryl finally opens up about about the guilt that he had because he felt like he could have saved Herschel. And he says if he would have still been looking for the governor, they would have never had that problem because Darrow stopped looking for him. He even told Michonne to stop looking for the governor. And like I said, it was a lot of guilt, and he put that all on him. So after that, the next scene, you can see them talking in the dark. As I see them talking in the dark, and they talking about their past. And Beth is pretty much telling Daryl he's going to be the last person standing after everything is over. She's going to be dead before, well, she's going to be dead before he dies. And when she tell him that, you can see how Daryl said don't say that because Daryl is scared of being alone. And he told him how he used to always follow Murrow's shadow, and he don't want to. And then he say really he never had his own identity when he's around Murrow, and he was telling Beth about that. And that really bothered him a lot. And he also told Beth about the story, a story that him and Murrow had with a guy named Twitcher or something. Twitcher. And he was telling him about that and how he almost got into it with Twitcher. And to my Twitcher punched him so hard he shitted on himself. And he said Twitcher almost killed him that night because he said Murrow was on drugs because Murrow snort drugs. He said Murrow was on drugs messing with Twitcher and stuff. But yeah, that's how it pretty much plays out in this episode. Don't let your past hunt you. Always look forward to the future. And that's how it was. And at the end of this episode, we see Beth and Daryl. Now, burning down that house was symbolic because burning down that house meant they burning away your past because Daryl did say that house reminded him of his old house that him and his daddy used to live in with the cigarettes and the bra and stuff. So he used to have his alcohol in that area. So Beth decides to burn down that place. So it was symbolic. It was a symbolic episode. I love this episode. Well, no, I don't. I'm lying. I ain't love this episode, but I love that scene because that's burning down your past, moving forward to the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed my Walking Dead review. Remember to thumbs up the video, comment, rate, and all that type of stuff. Peace. See you guys this week.